In the area of Avdiivka in recent days there is an interesting phenomenon, namely in most directions of attack the enemy is actively using infantry from the 1st Army Corps, the so-called DPR, with limited involvement of armored vehicles. In turn regular troops, which are in the majority in the Avdiivka area, and are much more capable, are not so often involved in the fighting. Given the known potential that the enemy has gathered over the past month near Avdiivka, what does all this tell us? There is a thorough regrouping and restaffing of units after the insane, and self-destructive waves of the offensive. Accordingly the third wave of the offensive, which is much more powerful than the previous two, may take place before the end of December, within the next week or two. This is quite logical, given the well-known deadlines for the capture of Avdiivka set by the Russian command, the first, before the new year, the second, before the illusion of holding presidential elections. In this connection, the excessive activation of the Russians along the entire eastern front line also draws attention to itself. Liman-Kupinsk axis, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Marinka, as well as more than sure in the near future will begin increased activation of the enemy in the area of Vugleda. In a sense, all this activation does not have any global tactical, much less strategic, meaning. The meaning of this bloody performance is the realization of Plan B, in case the occupation of Avdiivka fails before the elections in Russia. The fact is that the command of Russian troops in case of failure of the occupation of Avdiivka before the deadline, for failure to fulfill which heads may fly, decided to try their luck in other directions as a backup. Suddenly it will be possible to capture Marinka or Vugleda, to return Klishivka or Andriivka under control. It is also possible to give hope to capture Kupiansk, and from there to Kharkiv is within easy reach. How is this not an alternative to Avdiivka? That is, instead of saving forces, due to high losses in the Avdiivka area, the Russian command has chosen the option of dispersal and spending resources wherever they see a prospect to grab something. In general, this is a depletion of their resources, dispersal over a very wide front, without any definite result, but the main thing is not even that. The main thing is that they themselves do not believe that they will be able in the short term to occupy a small town, at which the enemy has concentrated several general armies and more than 40,000 manpower. For 2 months already, the Russian blitzkrieg in Avdiivka, which the occupants wanted to capture in 3 weeks, has been going on. And in fact they have passed less than 6 kilometers, depending on the section, and the prospects for time are not bright. I'm not saying that the AFU will definitely not leave Avdiivka, but the Russians are already stuck here, because the Ukrainian soldiers imposed it on them, as they did in Bakhmut. For 2 months the enemy has not advanced significantly, and the operational and tactical situation has undergone minimal changes. The enemy forces are being ground up in the meat grinder around Stepov, Sivern, Pervomaisk, and the remnants of the Avdiivka coke plant perimeter. But the forces and potential of the occupants will be enough for this operation for a long time, so in the future the battles will be as difficult and bloody as possible. Ukraine is paying a high price and they need a lot of weapons, a lot.